This episode we're talking about match-worn shirts. Stick around. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Soccer Collectible Show, the channel for the history and value of soccer memorabilia. My name is Jonathan Castner. I'm an appraiser with National Appraisal Consultants, and I'm the owner of Touchline Appraisals, an appraisal service focusing solely on the valuation of soccer memorabilia. This episode we're going to be looking at match-worn shirts, but before we do, go ahead and take a moment and just click the subscribe button below. Just about any type of soccer equipment can be used in the course of a match and can be collected, from balls and boots to goalposts and whistles and corner flags, but it is match-worn shirts that generate the most interest among collectors. Just Google match-worn shirts and you can find dozens of sellers online, from matchusedfootballshirts.com, classicfootballshirts.com, match-worn shirts, and charity stars. You can also find shirts worn by just about anybody, from Luka Modric and Luis Suarez to Andres Iniesta. When it comes to the value of match-worn shirts, there are a couple of things to consider. First, who wore the shirt? A shirt worn by a better-known player is going to bring more than a shirt worn by a lesser-known player. The second thing we should consider is, when was the shirt worn? In which match was it worn? A shirt worn in a less important match is going to bring considerably less than a shirt worn in a more important match. Collecting match-worn shirts may seem like a fairly straightforward process, but it can get a little complicated. There are other types of shirts to consider. There are other match official shirts that are not worn by the player, but kept on the sideline for professional and international matches just in case they're needed. These shirts are called unworn match-issued shirts, and they usually sell for a fraction of the actual match-worn shirt. So, for example, let's say a Cristiano Ronaldo match-worn Real Madrid shirt sells for about $4,000. An unworn match-issued shirt from that same match could sell for about $700. Buyers should be careful. A lot of sellers advertise their shirts as match-worn when they're really not. The truth is, the market is filled with fakes. Ask for some sort of proof before you make your purchase. That could be in the form of a signed letter from the kit manager or some other kind of documentation, whether it's from a player's opponent or from the club itself. I've seen listings on eBay that claim to be selling a one-of-a-kind item that are in reality still in the player's possession, like Andres Iniesta's match-worn shirt from the 2010 World Cup final. I've also seen a listing for the official match ball used in the 1966 World Cup final. That one's in a museum, folks. There are a lot of dubious sellers on social media like Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Sometimes it's hard not to take a risk. Some well-known sellers like Classic Football Shirts don't always supply documentation for many of the items they call match-worn. Some auction houses like Julian's, well, they don't always do it either. Some famous match-worn shirts have sold really well. Shirts from Ronaldo and Messi sell for thousands of dollars. Shirts from Pele and Maradona, well, they sell for as much as $10,000. Match-worn shirts from Johan Cruyff and George Cohen, they've sold for around $50,000 at auction. If you're going to get a match-worn shirt directly from the player, it's a good idea to get documentation as well. And you can do that with a selfie of you and the player together, or you can do that by getting the shirt autographed by the player. A lot of collectors like to get their shirts autographed. Some do not. They'd rather keep the shirt clean and in similar condition to the way it was when the player wore the shirt. What are your thoughts? Here's an example of a match-worn shirt that's been signed. This one was worn by Glenn Hoddle in 1988. If you're going to get the shirt signed, take extra special care of your shirt. Signatures fade over time, and nothing looks worse than a faded signature on a shirt. Here's a little tip. If you get your shirt signed, make sure it's not personalized, because that's just going to make it harder for you to sell down the line. If the player signs it to George, who are you going to be able to sell that shirt to other than to somebody by the name of George? That just about does it for this episode, but before you go, if you go ahead and take a moment just to click the subscribe button below, I'd appreciate it. If you have any interesting stories you'd like to share with us, any interesting collectibles you'd like to talk about, go ahead and email us at thesoccercollectibleshow, all one word, @gmail.com. Take care everyone, stay safe, bye-bye.